Hello everyone, welcome to my channel nikitinaknits. My name is Evgeniya, and in this video I'm talking about new knitting patterns that were released in January of 2026. They're not all new knitting patterns, but my favorites, something I would like to cast on and enjoy in my wardrobe, but obviously I don't have time for all of them because every month gorgeous, smart and talented designers are releasing so many patterns and I'm very inspired. That's why every single month I'm finding something beautiful and I'm recording a video about it. As usually, I will also comment on the construction, how it's knit, on the yarn that is recommended, would I go with that yarn, or maybe I can go with something else. And so maybe you can discover not only new knitting patterns, but maybe some interesting yarns to use. Also, in the end of the video, I'm going to announce the winner for the giveaway of the book, The Wonder of Wool. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, grab your knitting, grab your favorite drink, in my case some mint tea today, and let's enjoy some gorgeous new knitting patterns from the January of 2026. I want to start with something I will knit for sure, and I already have the yarn for it. It is Bea Blouse by PetiteKnit. I'm not the biggest fan of PetiteKnit patterns. I do enjoy them, but I'm not knitting every single thing that she is releasing. And when she was creating this blouse, I knew I'm going to make it for sure, because finally it is something very elegant and quite close to the body, which I enjoy a lot. I don't really like something too tight that is going to be with negative ease, but I also don't enjoy something very oversized. For example, right now I'm wearing a Cumulus blouse by PetiteKnit as well, and honestly, it's a bit too big for my liking, which of course I'm wearing and I'm enjoying, but I prefer something way more elegant and way more cute. And this Bea blouse is something that I was looking for so much. So this is a very simple boat neck that is for sure accessible for beginners as well. There's some short rows at the back to raise the back in relation towards the front, but you need it seamlessly, completely toned down, and you have to meet the gauge of 21 stitch per 10 centimeters. So as we can see in the pattern, there is not really anything that is worked on top. I guess it's just the cast on method. I don't think there's any I-cord or any crochet hook work. So this is something I'm considering to change. I'm thinking actually to add maybe like a crochet edging. I'm not sure really about the I-cord because I think it would look too bulky on such tiny and gentle blouse, but I do think that it does require some edging also to not stretch out the fabric with time, because it's knitted with 2 strands of mohair, and as I know from my experience, it does stretch quite a lot with time. And here we're having a wide boat neck that is very wide, almost at the edge of the shoulders. So I do think it makes sense to add some sort of edging to prevent from stretching, and that would look even more nice and firm and prevent from rolling outwards, unless you really like that effect. I don't really like when the fabric is rolling out, so I would do anything to prevent that. So the same happens with the bottoms. I do see that sometimes the edges are rolling upwards in the sleeves and in the body, so I would also do some sort of non-rolling cast off or any sort of trick that would prevent from that. Regarding the yarn choice, it is 2 strands of mohair of your choice of a standard meterage. I think she used mohair by Canard, which I've never tried, so I can't really say anything. I'm going to use actually something else. I will be knitting this with Gepard Cashmere Cumula. This is the yarn that was gifted to me by Gepard for yarn testing, and I'm so excited. And I spoke in detail about this yarn in my recent very much exciting video, new yarns that were released in the year of 2025. I'm showing the swatches, I'm showing the yarn, and you can discover so many new beautiful yarns from that video. So if you want to check the video out, it's going to be linked down below. So my swatch met the gauge perfectly, 21 stitch, and this is what I'm going to go for. The next pattern is again from PetiteKnit. It is Frankie Blouse. It is so beautiful, so casual, and still quite elegant because of mohair. So this is basically a top-down striped raglan that is knitted with 2 strands of mohair, and I think it's a perfect project for using your scrap mohair yarns. We can think of tons of different combinations that would make this blouse more contrast, less contrast. As usually I prefer way less contrast in my garments, especially when it comes to stripes, so I would go with something so blurred, so close to each other, like light gray and white, or light beige and white, any sort of pastel colors with white, or on a darker side as well it could be. So what I also like is that the stripes are quite small. I don't really like big stripes and they're too screaming for my brain. And this looks very interesting, wearable, and still, as I already said, elegant. We can wear this on a date when we go out, and we can wear it even in the house when it's a bit cold. However, I do think it's too luxurious to wear a mohair garment in house, but I already see how much wear I could get out of this garment, and I've never knitted a striped garment, so that would be interesting to experiment. So it is knitted completely seamlessly, tom down on 4mm needles. You start with the neck, I guess, because I couldn't find information if you start from the body and then you pick up stitches and do the neck, or just from the neck completely down. You do some short rolls at the back to raise the back in relation towards the front, which is always a plus, and completely mindless knit all the way down to the sleeves and the body. So definitely on my list. I'm already thinking what type of mohair I can use, and for sure I will be trying my best to use the leftovers. Next one is Tint Sweater by UllenKnitwear, and this is something that I was staring at as it was being in testing and in creation. I think this is just a pure feel for your fantasy to explore the colors that you would like to combine, the way the colors are going to switch among each other, and again, it's a perfect project for the scrap yarns. So this is an all-over colorwork sweater. It's a raglan sweater that is knitted tom down completely seamlessly. And if you look at the construction, if I look at the construction, I would immediately think that it's either seamed raglan or some sort of complication, because every time I saw similar projects on Ravelry, they were knitted in this way. And how happy I was to find out that it's actually seamless and tom down, including the difference between the back and the front, but it's not formed with the short rows as I understood from the description. It is formed with the neckline increases to maintain the perfect colorwork stitch pattern. So I like everything about the sweater. It looks very interesting, very creative and complex, but at the same time it's not overstimulating to my mind, and I don't really feel busy or tired constantly looking at that sweater. And of course, depending on the color that I choose, if I ever knit that, it will depend how often I wear it. But as usually, I would probably go for something more neutral. Like in the sample, I really like the combination of beiges and deep browns, blues, and it all combines so well with the white color. And the white color inside those beautiful colorwork romps remind me actually of the snowflakes. So it is a perfect winter knit or even a Christmas knit. So definitely worth the effort. And I've never tried colorwork yet in my life, so if that would be my first project, I wouldn't be afraid much to knit it, because it does look quite easy, but still quite challenging and engaging, because you switch the colors, you're doing raglan increases, and it's actually seamless. So I guess it's a perfect balance between everything, and I'm so excited to knit it. It is knitted on 4mm needles. You need to achieve the gauge of 24 stitches per 10 centimeters, and the recommended yarn is actually not specified regarding the brand, but it's specified regarding the weight. So you hold one fingering weight with one lace weight. In this case, I guess it's a fingering weight of the wool and the lace weight of mohair of a traditional mid-church, like 210 to 112 meters per 25 grams. And in my case, I was thinking of the options. I guess knitting for olive merino could work with knitting for olive mohair or any other mohair that you prefer. And also Filcolana Arwetta would work with Filcolana Tilia or any other mohair. So there are many options available, but also depends on which leftovers you have, because as I already said, this is a perfect project to use up your scrap yarns. So you can pick one white base of the sweater and then add any colors of the fingering that you have in stash. So perfect, and it doesn't really look like a messy scrap project, you know. Actually, I have a whole video on my channel about the scrap yarn project ideas. I will also link it down below in the description, so check it out. Next one is so luxurious and beautiful. Luline Cardigan by Isabella Clark. When I saw it, I lost my mind, I swear. I'm speaking right now and I'm having goosebumps across my skin. This is so beautiful, so elegant, and so gentle and wearable and feminine. I couldn't stop staring at it. Everything from it, starting from the shape of the whole cardigan, the format of it, like it's so relaxed. It doesn't have any buttons, but it sits so well anyways, finishing with the cable motif itself. You want to look at it, you want to stare at it, including the edging of the button band and also the sleeve edges. Oh my god, everything just looks so beautiful. I also like that the cardigan has a slightly wavy edging, probably due to the pattern itself. Something else I like is that it's cables and structure on small needles. I don't really like worsted or heavy DK weight projects with structure and cables. It just becomes too heavy and less wearable. So I am willing to put more effort and more time in the garment on 3.5mm needles, or even 3 or 2.5, but not many designers release these patterns because of course that decreases the amount of people, of knitters, who are willing to put that effort and time. So I don't mind a lot of work. I can knit the project for 1 year if it's needed to end up with a perfect garment. So this is exactly the case. It is knitted with Cardiff Cashmere Classic, which is 100% cashmere. I've knitted with this yarn before. I will be knitting with this yarn right now actually, and I definitely recommend it. I have no thing against it. It's just a perfect cashmere yarn. It's just pricey, that's true, but we're paying for the quality, and cashmere is expensive, especially when it comes to a well-produced sustainable cashmere. So this cardigan is knitted bottom up. You need the body completely flat since it's a cardigan, and I don't know if there's any show throws at the top to create a shoulder slope. I guess so, but I couldn't find information on that. Then the sleeves are knitted top down. You cast on stitches, pick up stitches at the armholes, and you knit them top down. Oh, actually, I don't know if you knit them top down or bottom up. It's just mentioned that you knit them in the round, but there is a chance that you knit them bottom up and attach again. So I'm not sure. I'm going to put it on the screen if I find information. Actually, the pattern is charted and written row by row. So depending on your liking, you choose your preference. So excited. And if I were to knit this cardigan, or when I were to knit this, I would go for sure with this light cream color. Next one is Rosie Yoke blouse. A Rosie Yoke sweater appeared in my December knitting pattern roundup. Check it out if you want. But that sweater is very thick. I think it was knitted on 5 or 5.5mm needles, and it does look quite chunky and heavy. And I was actually going to knit it, but this month she released something way thinner, a pure DK weight project knitted on 4mm needles. So if you're in love with this Rosie pattern, you can already choose from 3 items. There is this first version that she created as a drop shoulder construction, then there is a thick chunky yoke sweater, and now there is a blouse version. I really like the idea of a thinner version because the roses are very gentle. It is very feminine idea of the sweater, and of course the finer gauge is going to look more nice and drapey and more elegant. But of course, depending on your preferences, and if you live in a very cold climate, and if you get cold like me constantly, then maybe the chunky version is also for you. So I would still choose a DK version, but I would do the high collar just like in the chunky version as well. I like everything about it: the roses, the whole construction, the drape, the freedom of the sweater. It is quite oversized. It is recommended between 15 and 20 centimeters of positive ease, and you knit it completely seamlessly top down. You start with the neck, and then you do some short rows to raise the back in relation towards the front, and then you just do the colorwork motif. After that, you split for sleeves and you knit the body, and then the sleeves top down as well. So the gauge you have to reach on 4mm needles is 21 stitch per 10 centimeters, and the recommended yarn is easier tweed held together with a strand of mohair. So I don't really like easier tweed texture. For me, it's too uneven and too scratchy. It is very woolly yarn that is very pokey towards the skin, and when it's knit up, even after the block, it doesn't create a perfect stitch definition. If you prefer a very rough, rustic, woolly look, this is a perfect yarn, of course. But if you like a way more firmed garment, way more even stitches in the stockinette, this yarn may not be for you. And of course, the sensitivity. This sweater does have some neck that is touching quite sensitive parts of the body, and especially if you're going to go for the tall neck, that will be even a bigger concern, as for me, because I'm very sensitive. So in my case, I have 2 options for you. One is a budget-friendly option, and the second one is a very luxurious option. So first one is BC Garn Samia, held together with any sort of mohair of your choice. So Samia from BC Garn is 100% merino wool, I believe, or I'll put on the screen exactly what's the content. Samia from BC Garn has actually 3 versions, and 2 of them are my favorite, which is Samia Melange and Samia Pura. Samia Pura is something completely undyed, and the colorways are just so beautiful, and they're a bit softer, I guess. I never touched it in real life, but I think they're a bit softer than dyed versions. And what I've heard from reviews of people that I know who knit with this a lot, is just so soft, so plush, and so lightweight at the same time, and it comes out very beautifully on the stockinette. And my dream would be to combine undyed colors to create this sweater. That would be just gorgeous. But if you want the colored version, Samia Melange it has a lot of them, and it's the same yarn. So the more expensive, the luxurious version, if you want to go full in, would be Pasquale Cashmere 628 held together with Pasquale Cashmere lace. This is going to be the sweater to adore for years because it is going to be expensive sweater, but oh my god, the Pasquale Cashmere, if you watch my videos, I'm so in love. I'm knitting with this sweater right now. I've never tried lace, but it's the same cashmere, just very thin. And to achieve the gauge, just cashmere 628 is not enough on its own because it's a sport weight yarn. So I was thinking maybe to combine cashmere with mohair, but then you're going to feel mohair on your skin. So why to pay then for the cashmere? And in the end of the day, it makes sense to combine the sport weight cashmere with a lace weight to create a DK weight. And I was thinking this sweater does deserve this type of investment because it is very feminine, very rosy, and very gentle. So cashmere fits this style very well. And if we take care of the sweater, it can last for years. And the colors of Pasquale selection are just wonderful. If you like this idea and you want to knit Rosie sweater in this yarn, you can get 10% discount by just shopping through my link. So you just go to their website through my link, and everything at Pasquale's website is going to be with 10% discount applied. But if you go through the link and there's still no discount, you can just apply the code, and that is also listed down below, and you will get your 10% discount. Pasquale is one of my favorite brands overall. I'm so happy to collaborate with them, and I was their fan way before we had a collaboration opportunity. And please, if you need the yoke sweater in this yarn combination, please send me a picture because I do want to knit the sweater in this specific yarn combination as well. Next pattern is a male pattern, but I do think it could be used as a female pattern as well, and I saw some samples. This is the WooVibe Pullover by Rastus. This is a knitwear designer that is based in Taiwan, and I've recently discovered his talent, and I'm just so in love. Specifically with this gorgeous pullover that is all over lace pullover with very thick and firm and neat double knit edging. So of course this pullover is so perfect for the climate in Taiwan because it's very breathable, but it still is going to warm you up during those chilly mornings and chilly evenings. This lace motif is simple enough to not be so busy to your eye, but interesting enough for you to look at it and to want to know more details as you look at the sweater. So the pullover is going to take a lot of time, but it is going to be super lightweight because it's knitted on 3.25mm needles, and the body and the sleeves edgings are on 2.75mm needles. So get ready for a lot of work, but it is so worth it because in the end of the day you get a big oversized garment that is very lightweight and that is looking almost like store-bought. Or why almost? It does look like a store-bought item, and I guess a lot of people are going to ask you where did you buy it or compliment you on the sweater if you're ever going to wear it. I'm so in love with this motif, and honestly I'm considering this item for myself because my husband would not wear this lace motif. It's just not his style, but for sure I can imagine myself in the chilly summer morning or evening just reading my book on the terrace. That would just be so nice. I can already see that. It is knitted bottom up in pieces and then seamed all together, both the sleeves and the body and the front and the back, everything flat, and then you seam them up together, and then you do the collar and the sleeves edging. So there is actually a discussion online that I see quite often recently regarding what is better, seamless toned down construction or seamed up. And recently I'm coming to the conclusion that I would like to make up the skill of knitting flat and seaming the garments sometimes, depending on the project, depending on the yarn and the purpose of the garment itself, of course. But there is a big advantage to knitting flat, is that the garment ends up lasting longer in terms of shape, because we want it or not, the garment is going to stretch more if it doesn't have seams rather than when it does have seams. Everything will stretch out eventually, especially if we're speaking about something soft like cashmere yarns or merino yarns or mohairs. And again, depending on the project, I would like to experiment and see if I like the flat pieces. Some people say that they enjoy it because you have a very portable project. You're knitting a huge sweater, like in this case, but you're knitting separate pieces, and then the project ends up being way more portable, and as a result you have a faster progress. So I'm not sure if all of these statements are so true. I have to check them myself, but I would like to hear your opinion. Which constructions do you prefer and why? So that would be interesting to read in the comment section. So regarding the yarn, the recommended yarn is again Pasquale Saphir. We just spoke about Pasquale in the previous item. So Pasquale Saphir is something so soft and gentle and drapey because it has 75% merino wool and 25% silk, which is a perfect choice for this type of project. This is also, by the way, a great summer yarn selection, and when I look at the color palette of Saphira, I'm just going crazy, and I can already see this pullover in so many colors from their color palette. Gorgeous yarn choice. I would not go for anything else. Yes, it's still pricey because Pasquale is a luxurious brand, but you're paying for the quality. When it comes to such huge project, I want to make sure I am picking the correct yarn. And I will be honest, when it comes to seamed up construction, complicated design, like this one is lace design, I wouldn't experiment with yarn. I'm quite confident with yarn choices, but when it comes to these type of projects, and I like the yarn from the designer, I would not experiment and I would better pick the recommended yarn. The next one is Sinapis Pullover by Insh, and this is a pullover that was inspired by flowering of the mustard field. This is a designer that I love quite a lot recently because everything that she's creating is calming me down. Like the energy that she has within her knitting designs is just so blooming, so calming, so feminine and quiet that I like a lot. And when she released this pullover, I was completely in love. This very big, round, perfectly rounded neckline, this a bit cropped silhouette, a good amount of positive ease, and perfectly shaped shoulders here and the sleeves. This very gradual slide between the drop shoulder and the sleeve itself attracted my entire attention. Of course, not to mention the lace motif and the sleeves and the bottom of the body. It's one of the main details that grabs the attention. I wouldn't change a thing within this design because everything is just perfect about it. It's so wearable, but it's still very unique and elegant due to this beautiful lace motif and the bottom. In addition to that, it is knitted quite fast because it's a worsted weight project on 4.5mm needles. Recommended yarn is 2 strands held together. The first strand is De Rerum Natura Ulysse and the second strand is De Rerum Natura Berenice. So Ulysse is 100% wool, and it is a very interesting, beautiful sport weight yarn that I've seen in the yarn shop once. It doesn't feel so soft towards the skin, but it does feel completely manageable to my sensitive skin. And it is quite textured and just a bit uneven and lofty, but when it ends up being in the fabric, it does look completely firmed and even. This is what I like about it. And the second strand is the mix of mohair and I guess also a bit of merino wool. I've heard that it's very soft towards the skin as well, and I would for sure use this combination because these 2 yarns are on my list for quite a long time. So the pullover is knitted completely top down seamlessly. You start at the neck without the collar. You're doing the back panel first. It is a European drop shoulder construction. You're creating the trapezoid shape and then you're picking up stitches at the front, creating the front panel, increasing towards the neck. Then you're doing the same for the left. You're connecting everything here under the arms. After that, you split for sleeves. You're knitting the body down to your desired length. And when you're done with the lace motif here at the bottom, you're doing 2x2 ribbing and some sort of edging, like a cast off edging. I guess it should be Italian cast off, but I'm not sure. And then you're knitting the sleeves tom down as well and doing some short rows here and the sleeve cap, which creates a beautiful fit as well. And actually I forgot to mention the gauge. It is 18 stitches per 10 centimeters on 4.5mm needles, and honestly I just can't wait to have a chance to knit this pullover because I can already see how much wear I'm going to get out of it. Next one is Inch by Rebecca Clow, and we know Rebecca also for creating a lot of different options within only one design. So you're paying for one pattern and you're usually getting quite a few options to create whatever you want: vest, cardigan, v-neck, crew neck, and this pattern is not an exception. However, this is her first time that she's creating male grading and female grading within one pattern. So the price is about 10 euro per pattern, which is mostly average price of most designers. And you're getting so much into this. And honestly, this is just very, very generous, and I'm very grateful for this type of opportunity. So this is a saddle shoulder construction, and you can choose whatever option that you feel attracted towards. So you have fisherman's rip squishy pattern motif, and then you have a stockinette motif. Also, you have crew neck, and you have the open collar to create like buttoned or zip version of the pullover. Or what I like, my favorite version is this striped version with a very deep V with just ripped finishing and the edgings. For me, it looks the best, not the best, for me, it looks the option that I would knit. This is my preference, but I guess everyone who opens this page on Ravelry, they would just find so many different ideas and options what to knit from this one pattern. And coming back to the version that I like, I just find it a perfect pullover to wear at home, to work in the house, and to work from home. It feels so cozy, so squishy and warm. The whole project is knitted on 4mm needles with 20 stitch gauge per 10 centimeters. And the recommended yarn is Laxton's Sheep Soft DK, which is 50% blue phase leather and 50% masham. Wow, I'm very much interested in that because recently I released actually a book review about British breeds yarns. Check that book review out if you never saw that book, because since then I'm just a fan of British yarns and I would like to try every single breed of them. And this is something that interests me so much. The only thing I'm a bit concerned is how soft it is, because I've touched blue-faced luster in the yarn shop once and it was a bit scratchy to my liking. But I do know that it's very luster and drapey and so durable. So since I'm speaking about everyday garment that I would wear a lot and work in it at home, I guess that could be a good option, maybe to wear something underneath it. So I would go for this yarn for sure, but if we're speaking about something soft, I would go for Lamana Como plus Lamana Premium. This is something I really want to try, and I do have some sample balls in my stash to try and to swatch, and that would actually create a good DK weight version as well, and a bit more lightweight than if we would go for something completely dense and rustic. And regarding the construction, there's not much details about how exactly it's knit, but it's saddle shoulder. Probably you just knit saddles separately, and from there you do different manipulations like knitting the back with the shaping of the armhole, then knitting the front, and then picking up stitches here and the armhole, doing the short rows to shape the sleeve cap, and then knitting the whole sleeve down with the decreases. So the construction is quite nice, not the most easy construction for beginners, but amazing to experiment and to learn new skill and end up with a beautiful garment that we can not only use for ourselves, but also knit something in the future for the men that we love. Next one is Ardea mini scarf by Ksenia Naidyon. Ksenia Naidyon is a Ukrainian designer that lives in the US that I enjoy quite a lot. And actually just 2 days ago, I recorded a video about 10 Ukrainian knitting designers to try. And this video is going to be edited and released very soon, right after this one. So if you're curious about this topic, you can subscribe to my channel. And if you press the notification bell button right next to the subscribe button, you will receive the notification about any of the videos that come out. So let's take a look at this gorgeous, elegant scarf. I really like how she's fitting the scarf with the ring and with the knot right under the scarf as well. I think it was created with a perfect length, with a perfect width, and that would be just a beautiful addition to my wardrobe. I can already see it, because the cables that are used are not screaming, not so puffy and thick. They don't take much attention, but they have some detail, something that I like in all of the textured and cable designs. What I also enjoy is the very thick and firm edge that creates a very thick and sturdy feel of the scarf, so it doesn't roll in and out constantly. You don't have to constantly fix it on your neck. It just looks so nice and so neat and minimalistic at the same time. The needle size is 3.25 and the gauge is 31 stitch per 10 centimeters, and the yarn that is used is light fingering. In this case, is a cashmere, 100% cashmere from Pearl Soho. Now, I don't have the access to Pearl Soho much. Maybe there's some yarn on Etsy, but I have to pay a lot of shipping and it's complicated to get it here in the south of Europe. So I don't really think if I can go with this yarn. But if you live in the US or Canada, or you have just access to this yarn, I do suggest to try it, because even though I never touched it, It does look very plush and interesting and firm at the same time. So very beautiful, elegant scarf that I cannot wait to knit one day, both for myself and for the gift. And if you want to get inspired with more scarf knitting patterns, you can check the whole separate video on that topic on my channel, and the link is going to be also listed down below. And the last one for today, but not the least, is Poppy Bloom Pullover by Sari Nordlund. I think it's the first time that I'm mentioning this designer in my pattern roundups, and because I really liked this pullover. This is the brother to Luline Pullover, a worsted weight project that got so successful, and I would like to knit Luline as well, and I guess most knitters are also in love with that pattern, maybe, and that's why she was excited and inspired to create a thinner version of a similar design. It's not the same colorwork motif, but it does feature similar Nordic bloom flowers, or I don't know exactly what type of stitch pattern motif is that, but we do have these flowers among the yoke and also these plant motifs across the yoke as well. Looks so gorgeous, and specifically I fell in love so much with the color combination of Sari's sample. It is like jean blue color with whites and light blues together. Oh my god, it looks so good. At the same time, it is going to be lightweight but warm, really warm, because here we have a stranded color work motif and the yoke part, and it's just a perfect winter garment that is not going to be so heavy, and it is going to be easy to fit in the jacket or in the coat because it doesn't suggest a ton of positive ease, and the armhole is not so deep. So you knit it completely seamlessly top down on 4mm needles, reaching the gauge of 20 stitches per 10 centimeters, holding one fingering and one lace weight, so a fingering wool and a lace weight mohair. There are two suggested yarns. One of them is Knitting for Olive Merino, and the second one is Sunday by Sudden's Garden, both held together with one strand of mohair. So I would only go for Knitting for Olive Merino because I don't really think Sunday by Sudden's Garden is the best idea for this color work, unless you enjoy this very flowy, very drapey texture that may grow with time quite a lot, and the weight of the whole garment is going to be more than if you pick Knitting for Olive. Knitting for Olive Merino is completely different from Sunday. It is carded merino, first of all, so it's way lighter. It is quite plush and way more airy and lightweight in its structure, so I think is the perfect option. The only thing I'm hesitant is about picking Knitting for Olive mohair because it is quite scratchy towards my skin for my liking. And as we can see here, the neck is quite close and quite high, which is a feature of most Sari Nordlund's design. I guess that's because also she lives in Finland and it's really cold, and it makes sense to wear quite high neck. I would experiment with mohair. I would go for Pasquale Mohair Bliss or Lamana Premia. You knit it top down. You start with the neck, and then I think it's a folded over neck. Yeah, it is folded over. You connect it, and then you start to knit directly the colorwork motif without the short rows and the back of the neck. You do the colorwork section, and only then you have the option to do the short rows and the back of the sweater, including the sleeves. So I don't know if it makes sense to add additionally the short rows here at the neck, because sometimes I could see that in Sari's sample and in some testers samples there was like a slight fold here at the neck, and while it could be beautiful and a lot of people even appreciate it, I don't really like that. I feel like there is not enough depth of the neck when this fold appears. So I'm thinking if I were to knit this yoke sweater, I would probably add some short rows here at the back of the neck to kind of create more depth of the neck. And also I would do the short rows in the back. Let me know if you ever experimented with that, if you had both versions in the yoke design and how it fitted, because I don't have experience with that. So after we're done with this gorgeous colorwork section, we're splitting for sleeves and we're knitting the body down, and then we're picking up stitches for the sleeves and knitting the sleeves down, also featuring a beautiful colorwork motif and the edge of the sleeve. Oh my god, so beautiful, so gentle and warm at the same time. It has this Nordic style, but some femininity and lightness and drape to this because of combination of yarns. Unbelievable. I'm so in love, and I would like to knit it for sure, and I'm sure a lot of knitters are going to be knitting this, taking into account how successful Luline Pullover was. So good luck with that. I'm sure a lot of you are going to enjoy this process. I have so much in my queue that I can't really pick this project right now, but it is my dream for the future. All right, I'm done with my pattern roundup, and now I want to announce the winner for the giveaway for the book The Wonder of Wool. Again, you can watch the full in-depth review for this book that is just piece of art decoration that barely exists in the knitting world. I do suggest that you just take your cup of tea and your knitting and just spend 15 minutes discovering this book. And I had a giveaway running, so a lot of people commented, and I picked randomly, completely randomly, a person with the randomizer app. So basically I selected all of the people who commented that they want to participate, and then I uploaded this all in randomizer, and it picked one winner. So I want to say the name of the winner, the username. It is carolheartnet4569. That's the username. And congratulations, you won this gorgeous book. It's going to be shipped directly to you, and I hope you will enjoy it so much, just as I do. This is my coffee table book. This is my bedtime book sometimes. The winner, please email me as soon as possible with your shipping details, name, shipping address, and the phone number, and the zip code as well. And if the winner doesn't appear within the next 2 weeks, I will have to choose another winner. So I would like to thank you for being here with me during this wonderful knitting pattern roundup. As usually, I'm extremely excited, super much looking forward to completing my projects and maybe knitting something from this gorgeous list. Let me know what's on your needles and what did you like from the list? What did you get inspired by? I'm wishing you a wonderful time during this cold weather knitting time, and I'm hoping to see you soon in my next video.